Welcome to Life in Bold. This is the show where typically I get to connect you to inspiring people who are doing the work to live the lives they've imagined. But today I want to do a solo episode, which I've gotten really great feedback actually on my solo episodes. I think for me, sometimes when there's a podcast and the host does a solo episode, I commonly feel like I don't want to watch that one for some reason. But I feel like the thing that separates Life in Bold solo episodes is that we are all on this journey to living our lives in bold. But I, as the host, am also on this journey to living my life in bold. And so the cool thing about the solo episodes is that I'm actually able to sit down and be reflective and think about what I am doing to live my life in bold. A few months ago, I had a session with a life coach who asked me the question, what are you doing to live your life in bold? She was asking me because she wanted to know if I went on another podcast, what would I actually say about living in bold? What do I think is important about living your life in bold? And I've actually thought about that a lot. I've started my blog to really get more clear on my story of like, what am I doing in my own life to live my life in bold? I have had more conversations with more friends about truly what it takes to live your life in bold. And tonight I have to get on here and record this episode while it's still fresh and top of my mind, because I want to talk about friendship. I really want to talk about friendship because in my life, friendship has been the thing that has been the most stable. It has been one of the most important things in my life. It has been the source of the most support in my life. And I think there's a way to do it in a way that is bold. And so I really want us to dissect the anatomy of a bold friendship, which is just I'm like so excited to like advertise this podcast. And like, I'm so excited to make the title and to do the SEO for this podcast, because the anatomy of a bold friendship, I think, is such an important thing to talk about, and something that I thought I could create and build so that you can send it to your friends, you can send it to your family members who are having challenges with their friends. And I really sat down and thought long and hard about what is the anatomy of a bold friendship. Because to be honest with you, I was just at a bar, my favorite neighborhood bar. There's a bartender there who I really enjoy getting my drinks from and enjoy talking to. And I usually go there on Mondays. And today there was a set of friends, one friend and another friend, two women. I think they were in their 40s, maybe late 40s. And one of them was experiencing a breakup. She was really upset and sad because she had just been broken up with, or she had just broken up with a guy. And her friend was, I don't want to like trash her friend just in case she ever finds this, but her friend, I would say, was not supportive and was not meeting her where she was. Friend one was being broken up with and needed to feel seen, needed to feel validated, needed to share in the pain of what she was going through. And friend two was honestly deflecting, changing the subject, making too many jokes, blaming the friend who had just gotten broken up with. Like, you should have known about this. We all knew this was happening. And it really got me thinking about boldness in friendship. Because it's easy to be friends with people, right? Like, it's easy to have fun with people and send funny memes and send messages. But where does it become a bold friendship? And one of my main inspirations in life, and especially in podcasting, is Brené Brown. And if you don't know Brené Brown, she is a researcher. She is a podcaster. She really studies the effects and the realities of courage and vulnerability. And she talks about things like this, like relationships, feelings, friendships, parenthood. And she has a podcast titled The Anatomy of Trust. And in the podcast, she talks about the different factors that go into whether or not you trust somebody. And so I kind of want to do the same thing today, talking about bold friendships. Like, what is a bold friendship and what does that look like? It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. It's going to be kind of a quick thing. If you want to take notes, you can. If you want to share it with a friend, you're more than encouraged to. But I really have 4 bullet points that I want to talk about in the anatomy of a bold friendship. So the first one is first because I think it's the most important. And that is when a friend is feeling pain. I think that you cannot be somebody's friend or their best friend or in their chosen family if you are not able to sit with them when they're feeling pain. And I think it's really important to specifically and intentionally call this out, that if you're not able to sit with somebody in their pain, you are not really one of their most high quality friends. You have to not dismiss it. You cannot dismiss someone's pain. When somebody says, I'm in pain, and you say, oh, it's not a big deal, or when someone says, I'm really hurt, and you say, oh, you'll get over it, that is not what a bold friendship looks like. And I think when we're all on this journey of trying to be more bold with ourselves, it's really important that we understand what being bold in our relationships mean. And just as a person, I value my friendships at this moment in my life more than any other type of relationship in my life. And so being able to sit with somebody in their pain, when they're struggling with something, when they're challenged by something, being able to see them and feel them and put yourself in their shoes, allow space for that pain to exist, allow connection from yourself to them, to their self, allowing allowing yourself to take a pause in your own needs and your own feelings and allow yourself to be in service to this person's pain. That to me is something that I have been working on. And it's something that I think we can all be working on more and more as we get older, as we get bolder, as we grow. And I think it's just a really important thing to state right off the bat. One thing that I want to talk about in this section is the concept of toxic positivity. So, toxic positivity is something that I've had an interesting relationship with over the last couple of years. And it's interesting because I consider myself to be an optimistic person, but I do not consider myself to be toxically positive. And there's a difference between those two things. I think that if you're being a bold friend with somebody and they're sharing their pain, you can see a positive outcome in their future, and that can be optimistic. But what you cannot do is pretend that the pain doesn't exist. And I think that that's where toxic positivity comes in. And when I was at this bar and I was watching these two friends, I constantly saw this friend number two dismissing the pain, acting like it wasn't a big deal, acting like the friend should have known that it was coming. And I think that it's really, really, really important as you're trying to build meaningful, bold friendships that you don't push people's pain away. And I think that's a really important piece of any friendship. I would love to know your thoughts on toxic positivity. I think it's something that's a little bit new to me as a concept, and it's something that I've really kind of dived deeply into myself to see, do I feel like I am someone who is spreading toxic positivity? And I think boldness is almost the opposite of toxic positivity. If you can truly stand in who you are with the highs and the lows, toxic positivity has no place to live. The next thing that I want to talk about in the anatomy of a bold friendship is that if you are my friend and we are engaging in a bold friendship, you have to believe in me. You have to understand who I am. You have to see me and you have to understand where I am now and where I want to be in the future. And you have to deeply understand those two things and basically those two people. If you don't see me for who I am, and if you don't understand where I want to be, those are two things that you need to do before you can be in a bold friendship with me. It is so important to feel seen as a person. I love the story that Oprah tells when she talks about people at the end of their interviews. Oprah has interviewed hundreds and thousands of people, probably thousands of people at this point. And she always says that at the end of every interview, the thing that people do right when the interview ends is they lean over to her and they say, how did I do? And the reason they ask that is because they want to make sure that they did a good job. They want to make sure that they were seen. They want to make sure that they got their message across. And I think it's not that different when you're sharing pain or when you're sharing your experiences and you're sharing your dreams with somebody. If I'm engaging in a bold relationship with you, I want to know that you see me for all that I am. The pain is really important for you to see, but you need to understand who I want to be. And you need to have some ideas of how I can get there, or how you think I can, how I think I can get there. And you need to understand that. You can't be my friend, or you can't be my bold friend if you're not engaging in believing in me, if that makes sense. You have to believe in your friends, and you have to believe what they say when they say what they want. You cannot be somebody's bold friend if you just see them for who they used to be, or if you just see them for who they are now. You have to be able to engage in someone's entire being, in their past, present, and future, in order to be a true, loving, meaningful, bold friend. And I think that it's something that I don't talk about a lot, but my best friends in my life are the people who are there to support me as I make goals, as I make transitions, as I make decisions. These are the people who are able to walk with me and not hold me accountable for who I used to be, but hold me accountable for who I know I want to be. So you have to have that level of belief in who I am now and who I am in the future. It's it's something that I think we don't always talk about, but it comes back to being seen. You have to be able to see the entirety of who I am and then support me in that journey. That's the third thing. Being able to support me in the journey of who I have been, who I am now, and who I want to be in the future. That really is such a bold characteristic of a friend. Someone who can help me get from place A to place B, from place B to place C, and someone who loves me at place A, B, and C. It's extremely, extremely important that you're able to evolve with somebody if you want to be their friend in a bold friendship. It is extremely important that you support them and that you come up with ways to support them as they transition from who they were to who they're going to be. And I think that something that brings us all together on this podcast is the thought of, I am trying to become something that I have always wanted to be. Or I have a new idea of something that I want to be, and now I'm trying to take action on that dream. And I think that that's what this podcast is a home for. And so if you are trying to engage in a friendship that is bold and courageous and beautiful, it's so important to be able to support your friend wholeheartedly. And to be honest with you, sometimes support doesn't mean always affirming what they do. Sometimes support means giving constructive feedback. Sometimes support means saying no when the person wants to hear yes. But doing it with compassion and leading with love is more important than anything else. So being able to support your friend as they grow and as they develop and as they continue to evolve into who they one day will become is one piece. That's number 3 of being a bold friend. The fourth thing is on the opposite side of number 1. Number 1 was, you have to be with me in my pain, which is so important. Number 4 is sometimes the easiest and sometimes the hardest part of being a bold friend. And number 4 is being able to celebrate with me. Friends make decisions in life, and sometimes you don't agree with those decisions. Friends have dreams in life, and sometimes you don't agree with those dreams. But being able to celebrate with somebody when they are happy, or when they're excited, or when something happens to them that they've been hoping would happen for a long time, is absolutely part of being a bold friend and a bold friendship. You don't have to share the same dreams as your friend. You don't have to share the same interests as your friend. But if something happens to your friend that they're happy about, you have to be able to celebrate with them when that happens. You cannot tear them down. You cannot criticize them. You cannot ignore them. You cannot push it to the side. You have to be with somebody in the highs and the lows. And sometimes I see friendships where people are not willing to celebrate with their friends unless they agree with what's happening. I have a lot of friends in my life who, there are a few people that I'm thinking of who have such different lives than me, such different lives than me. My friend Elena is a really, really, really good example of a bold friend. She is there for me when I have hard moments. She absolutely believes in me and my dreams. She supports me. She helps me. She understands how I need to be supported, and she celebrates with me. But she has an entirely different life than me. She lives in California. She has been married for 5 years. She has 3 kids, 3 wild, rambunctious, energetic kids. And we have entirely different lives because I am single. I live in New York. I have no kids. I don't even have pets. And she is still able to understand what's important to me. And she's still able to understand how to celebrate when something great happens to me. And I think that that is such a bold aspect and such a bold characteristic of a good friend that it's worth mentioning. So if you have a friend who has a very different lifestyle than you or a different life path than you, it can be so powerful to show up and to support them, even though it might not be what you believe in, or even though it might not be what you care about or what you do in your life or what you value. Being able to celebrate with a friend is so, so important. And to the opposite side of celebration is almost criticism. And being able to understand when somebody wants celebration versus when they want criticism is such an important differentiation that if you are somebody who can be able to understand when it makes the most sense to criticize and when it makes the most sense to celebrate, you're going to be golden in a golden friendship and a bold friendship. And those are really the 4 aspects that I came up with for a bold friendship. And of course, in a bold friendship, this goes both ways. You don't want to be a bold friend to somebody who is not a bold friend to you. And when I talk about bold friendship, I mean strong friendship. I mean authentic friendship. When I talk about bold friendship, I'm talking about friendship that understands what it is and values each side of the friendship. Bold to me, I'm really developing my definition of bold. And I think that when it comes to friendship, it means understanding who you are in the moment as a group of friends or as a pair of friends, understanding where you want to be as friends or as individuals, and understanding how to get there. And then I think really having the capacity to feel, really having the capacity to understand your feelings, understand your emotions as friends, understand what that means to you when you feel one thing and the other person feels another thing, and then really understanding how to communicate what those differences are and what those similarities are. The anatomy of a bold friendship is something that I will continue to develop in my own journey of boldness. But it's something that I wanted to get on here and talk about quickly because it's so important to me going into new years and new jobs and new opportunities and new cities. We all have these friends in our lives and we want our friendships to be bold. So the anatomy of a bold friendship is there to help you. Number 1, understand my pain. Number 2, believe in me. Number 3, support me. And number 4, celebrate with me. This has been the episode. I really appreciate you for sitting here and listening to me. I hope this was a nice break in your day. I hope it was aligned with how you think of bold friendships. Feel free to message me on Instagram at Life in Bold Pod. If you have thoughts, reflections, disagreements, agreements, I would love to hear from you. This is also available as a video episode on YouTube. So if you would like to send it to a friend as a YouTube link, you can do that. The link is in my bio on Instagram at Life in Bold Pod. It is also in the description of this podcast. And I really appreciate you for being here. I love this journey that we're all in to live our lives in bold. And I just love that you're here. I love that you're listening. I love your support. With that, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have an even better week. And do not forget to live your life in bold. Bye.